a bunch of you guys recently sent in some chess questions, right? I mean, kind of touching on a bunch of different topics, right? We're talking about openings. We're talking about chess improvement. We're talking about ELO. We're talking about stuff like the Hippo or opening or how to prep for a tournament, all the different kinds of stuff and more. And I'm going to be answering some of those questions in this video. Let's get right into it. First up, we got, do you ever feel guilty when playing the Hippo? No, I don't. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know why I would. I'm curious, right? I don't mean this in a bad way. I'm curious why I would feel guilty. Is there something I don't know about the Hippo, right? Is there something I don't know about it? Okay. Anyways, the answer is no. Okay. Next up, oh my guy, let's go. Seems like most of the games I lose are due to lack of focus and board vision. What is the best way to train your eyes to see the whole board? Also, how's married life been treating you? What's up, man? By the way, guys, if you see this username with this profile pic in the comment section, there's about a 95% chance that this guy is just comedic gold. Okay, every channel's got to have some kind of subscriber, out here making everybody laugh, and this guy does that almost every single time he comments. But okay, I mean, let's see. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty common, right, to lose focus of the whole board, lose vision. Sometimes get so tunnel focused on something that you forget that something's going on over there, right? There's a few things to work on, a few ways to work on overall vision of the board. Okay, I'm going to share a few, just face to face, right? No board. The first one is consider the night exercise. This is something that helped me a ton growing up. This goes back to the very beginning, right? My coach, Mr. Brown, Fred Brown, had us do this exercise. And in it, all you got to do, if you have a board at home or on an analysis board on chess.com or something, all you got to do is place a knight on an empty board. Okay. And knights are the most complicated piece in chess, right? I mean, knight maneuvers, knights are tricky. Knights can kind of, make the game pretty interesting, even if you are at a disadvantage, right? They're very tricky, and their maneuvers are, oftentimes very dangerous. But sometimes knowing how to use them correctly can be tough. So what you're going to do is you're going to place a knight on an empty board, and basically from that point, you're going to figure out how long it takes to get to every single square on the board. Okay. So you're going to pick a square, and then you're going to look at the square and go, okay, how many moves would it take my knight to get to this certain spot? Now, the rule here is that you have to visualize it, right? You can't move the knight around. You can't make little finger, little arrows or use your finger. You got to do it all in your head. All right, just sit there, do it all in your head. And okay, depending on the square, you might get 4, you might get 5 moves. And you're gonna in your head, right? The knight's still where it is. The knight's never moving, right? And then you're gonna go, okay, the knight's at the square. How long does it take to get to this square? And what you can try to do is do as much of the board as you can, and eventually work your way up to doing the whole board in one sitting. And at first, it might take you quite a long time, right? But the more you do this, the faster you're going to get. And at some point, you're going to be able to do this within a few minutes, okay, if you really put the work in. Okay, so that's good. And it helps you see the whole board, right, which is good as well. Next up, the second exercise that I recommend, just placing pieces on a board, all one color. So if you can grab white or black pieces, either one, but let's just say we're grabbing white pieces, place a couple rooks somewhere on the board, place a queen somewhere, a king somewhere, a knight somewhere, boom. Now you got to figure out every single square on the board that is not attacked. And by doing so, you're figuring out what squares are attacked. Right now, that might seem very basic, but this is huge. Okay, imagine in your games if you never hung a piece and you never missed when your opponent hung a piece, right? The only way that you hang a piece or don't see a hung piece is because you don't see full board vision. We've all had it happen before, right? Oh, wow, that rook kind of just came through and took my knight. Oh, wow, I just got back mated. Oh, dang, that bishop's there, and it can just take my queen right off the board. The more you do this exercise, the more you're going to see the whole entire board, and that's going to be beneficial to you, okay? And then the last one, this is more advanced, but doing some blindfold chess. Okay, now, a lot of you guys are probably going, Solomon, I cannot do blindfold chess. You're crazy. But you actually can, to a certain point, right? I mean, everyone starts somewhere, okay? And first off, to do blindfold chess, you need to know the squares, so you can even grab a board and just memorize the squares. What's the square? Okay, C3, boom. What's the square? Spend 10, 15 minutes a day on an empty board, learning the squares, and that's a great skill, because if someone's like, hey, why didn't you play knight c7? Then you go to that square in your head and boom, or you know exactly where that square is. I actually didn't have I knew what every square was, But I think that doing this channel really helped, right? Because I'm having to talk through things. Okay, the pawn's on A3, the knight on E4, right? I'm having to talk through things, and that definitely helped me in my overall board awareness because I knew each and every square. Okay, but once you get to that point, in terms of blindfold chess, start small, right? Go online, look up Magnus Carlsen game, look up Gary Kasparov, look up any game at all, look up a Hippo game. Maybe try to do 5 moves in your head. Okay, can I play 5 moves here in my head? Can I visualize it? Okay, I'm trying to visualize it. I think I see it. It's a little blurry, but okay, let's play it through. Let's play to move 3. Okay, now I'm getting closer to it. I'm getting more of a good picture, and then finally 5. And if you did mess anything up, you're gonna go, oh, the knight's there. That's right. And just that alone is going to improve your visualization, right, and your calculation, all that kind of stuff. Okay. But again, in terms of not hanging pieces and overall focus on the whole board, which we got to do in chess, right? I would say that the second exercise is pretty helpful. Just placing pieces on an empty board and learning exactly how they operate, okay? And seeing their full range and scope. And on top of that, I mean, this is more psychological and more of a discipline that you need to develop. But I would say don't just ignore your opponent's move. Don't just look at your opponent's move and go, I don't really know what they're doing, but I don't really care. Or, oh, I missed what they played, but I'm just going to keep. That's a big mistake. Okay, you got to see where your opponent played, and you got to try to figure out what they're doing. Sometimes their move's very dangerous, and then sometimes their move does absolutely nothing at all. But in either case, you got to be aware. What squares did they just attack? What squares did they leave? And this is going to be a huge skill. And okay, second part of the question, how's married life been for you? It's been amazing. Yeah, I feel very blessed. God's been merciful to me. And given me an amazing wife, Deborah, and yeah, we're about close to 9 months now. So, we're still newlyweds, but yeah, everything's great. I'm very blessed. So awesome. Next question. We got our guy, Brandon Walters. What's up, man? Here we go. Okay. As a beginner, 1300, how long should I stick with an opening before I take my time to branch into another? I mean, this is a huge question. I would love to give you some thoughts on this. Currently, I use Hippo with black, nice choice, as well as the Botvinnik English and the Scotch Game for white, nice. Those are both very solid openings as well. My goals include getting to 2,000 ELO and continuing to play in tournaments. Awesome stuff, thanks. Okay, great stuff, Brandon. Great question. I'm going to say that there needs to be a balance. Okay, I'm going to give you one polar extreme and then another polar extreme. We hear about people that go, you know what, I played this opening once and it just didn't work. I played it twice and I lost both, so I gave up and I switched to something. Guys, that's 1 or 2 games, right? 1 or 2 games. I mean, no, you don't quit an opening after 1 game, right? I mean, it depends on the opening. I guess if you're playing like G5 and F6 as black and you get mated in 2 moves, then sure. But yeah, I mean, that's one extreme, right? I tried it online, it didn't work. Okay, I'm switching to something else. I tried this, it didn't work. I tried this once, it worked. Then I lost 2, it didn't work. Okay, I'm done. That's one extreme, right? We don't want to fall into that. The other extreme is sticking with an opening way too long. I did this with the Carl Defense back when I was a kid in my tournament days. And as you guys probably know, recently I had the National Master title. But as a kid, at 14, I got up to the rating of 2163. And once I stopped studying, it kind of started falling off a cliff. But all that to say, at the time, I was a very aggressive and attacking player, and I decided to play the Carl Defense because it's what I was supposed to do. Okay, and let's just say that I just decided to play the Carl. I knew what the first move was, but beyond, and the first couple moves, but beyond that, I didn't know much theory. I just said, you know what, I'm going to play the Carl. I see books on it. I see people talking about it. I see great players playing it. I got to do it, and I just stuck with it. When I read the books, did I like the positions? No. Did I like the lines? No. Did I like hardly anything about it? Not really, but I knew that it was technically even or close to even. So I went, you know what, this is what I'm supposed to do. So I stuck with it. I played it in tournaments. And even though I got those technically even positions, guess what? I got wiped out almost every single time because I did not like the positions. And I wasn't comfortable. I wasn't excited to play the Carl. So that's what I would ask you. If you're still excited to play an opening, keep playing it, right? Keep learning it, right? Now, you also got to kind of figure out, okay, what's kind of the cap of this opening? That's another thing too, right? So first off, if you're not enjoying an opening, if you're like dreading playing the English opening every game or whatever you're playing, obviously in this example, we have the Botvinnik English. So let's just go with that. The Botvinnik English. If you are absolutely dreading playing this, you should probably stop. Okay, there's so many good chess openings out there. I don't think you need to play something just because you're supposed to. Okay, don't fall into that. Don't fall into that. Okay, so first off, if you don't like it, don't play it. If you do like it, if you do like the positions that you get, you also got to look at what is the ceiling of this opening, right? Some openings can work, but they're not very good, like the Stafford Gambit, right? We see that in blitz chess by guys like Eric Rosen, but when's the last time you saw the Stafford Gambit in a high-profile tournament or in a world championship match or among GMs in a slow format? It's not very common, and usually white just knows how to refute it every time. So that opening kind of has a low ceiling in terms of over-the-board competitive chess. You got other openings, for example, like the Carl Khan, right? That is kind of playable all the way up to the top level, right? We see beginners playing it and top GMs playing the Carl Khan as well. And that's why I played the Carl Khan, but I missed the first kind of premise of the whole thing. And that is, do you like it? I didn't like it. So even though all these guys are playing it, it didn't matter because I didn't like the positions. You're going to play way better when you get positions that you actually like. That's just the fact. Okay. That's my experience. I think a lot of other people's as well. Okay. So that's a start. Okay. So again, those two things. Do I like it? And what's the ceiling of this? The Hippopotamus Defense, for example, I actually got into that because I saw the ceiling and I went, there's IMs and GMs losing to this, right? This has been played twice in a world championship match between Spassky and Petrosian, right? And the Hippo got 2 draws as black, which is a great result. And then I started playing it and I went, I kind of like this. I kind of like it, right? I like the feel of it, and it seems to have a higher ceiling than most give it credit for. If you look up Hippopotamus Defense on Google, it's going to say most say this is terrible. A lot of people don't know about it. But then you actually look at the database and black does pretty okay with it, right? Top GMs lose to this. You got guys like, Ruslan Ponomarev, Gadakamsky, Carlson played a game with it. A bunch of guys, Rajabov, right, playing I can go on and on. Guys that have played the Hippo and have won with it. Okay. So that's a start. So that's what I would say for that example. Okay. Don't stick with something too long, because of not liking it or because the fact of the matter is you've kind of passed the ceiling of that opening. But at the same time, don't just jump ship after one game. Okay. That's not the way to do it. So that's what I would say for that. Okay, next up. What is the most efficient way of improving at chess? Huge question. How do you focus on the right steps away and remove the fluff? Great question. I'm going to give you 2 things. Focus on tactics like crazy and focus on the end game. Okay, the end game is huge. Okay, so many people don't prioritize it, especially when they start getting into chess, because they're like, why would I worry about the end game when I can't even get out of the opening? Or why would I worry about the end game when there's so much that happens before that, guys? The end game doesn't just affect the end of the game. It also affects the rest of your game, piece coordination, the basics, what you need to avoid in the middle game, right? If you know the end game really well, you're going to be in the middle game and go, oh, wait, if I do this and this and this, I have a 1 end game. Let's do it. And then you win, right? So many, nearly every single game at the top levels results in an end game. We all see it on YouTube. I've posted games, Gotham Chess has posted games where games end fast or crazy in the middle game with attacking stuff. But most of the time, guys, if you look at GM tournaments, it comes down to a single pawn, right? A single exchange in the end game. Okay. So the end game is very important. And it's something that everyone can learn. Something that's kind of nice about the end game is that you can absolutely learn it. You can learn king and 2 rooks versus king and then work your way, right? With rook and queen, you can learn 2 bishops versus king, knight and bishop versus king. You can learn the basics of opposition and pawn structure and kings and pawns versus kings and pawns, right? Pawn endgames. You can look at rook endgames, the Lucena, the Philidor, all these different kinds of things, and you can learn it. Right now, the middle game, on the other hand, every single middle game is different. But once you get to the end game, you kind of got the same principles, right? We got there different ways, but there's only so many types of end games that you can get. So I highly recommend that you study the end game. Okay, it's the hard work that so many people don't want to do. It might not promise, winning overnight or winning in 6 moves, but the hard work, the work that people don't want to do, is how you're going to get far in this game. And yeah, tactics is absolutely huge. I would recommend that you study tactics that are way below your level, right? Do easy tactics on chess.com. Do easy tactics on Lee Chess. Get some books with 1,000 easy checkmates or whatever it is, and just drill them, right? You should get to the point within 1 second, you know the answer. Within 1 second, you know the answer, and you just keep knocking them out. And once you just, you're just cruising through hundreds, thousands of puzzles, then you move up to the next tier. All right, and you keep moving all the way up. This is going to help your game tremendously. Okay. Next up, how come you don't play basketball professionally? You're 7-1. I don't want to. Okay, I'm happy with what I'm doing. I played basketball most of my life. Up until a couple years ago, and in all honesty, it wasn't the greatest experience for me. I got hurt by a lot of people, and it's interesting, right? People see the lights, people see the TV, people see the money, people see the clout, people see all that kind of stuff. But just because the lights are bright, it doesn't mean that it's all that. It doesn't mean that it's all hyped up, right? It doesn't mean that it's what it's hyped up to be. Okay, what matters around you is that you got the right people around you. If the lights are bright and you're getting attention and you're getting praise from man and all this kind of stuff, but you got people around you that don't care about you, they don't have your best interests in mind, they treat you terrible, guess what? You're going to be miserable. Okay, so do what you love, and put people around you that care about you, right? And that's, I would say now I'm in a place where I have people around me that care about me, and I care about them, and I'm in a much better place. So that is why I am very happy, not only that I don't play basketball right now, but that it's over. Okay. Next up, how far do you go in person? Specific prep. Okay. Do you try and find lead chess accounts of opponents playing in tournaments? How do you go about preparing openings for tournaments? Do you review everything or specific lines that you've had trouble with in the past? Great question. Okay. First off, once I start playing the Hippo, right, it's kind of hard to prepare for someone because guess what? They're facing the Hippo no matter what they play. Okay. You can play E4, D4, the bird's opening, the English, whatever the heck you want. I'm playing the Hippo. So it's going to turn into a Hippo. That said, right, let's switch to something, or even stick with the Hippo. It doesn't really matter what opening you pick. In the Hippo, there at one point there was some lines that I had a hard time with, right? One of them was the Austrian attack, right, from White. I mean, White just going crazy with like E4, D4, F4, all that kind of stuff. And I got wiped by a 9-year-old in Vegas, right? If you guys watched my recent video on how to actually get better at chess, I believe I mentioned, a 9-year-old beating me. And then all of his kids jumping in a circle, all happy, all saying, I wish my opponent played the Hippo, and all that kind of, it's just like, okay, you're 4-2, I'm 7-1, and I just lost. So that didn't feel good. But all that to say, I had a very hard time with that. So I had to go home and I had to start studying. Okay, I don't want to get crushed like that again, right? So then I studied it. And then from that point on, whenever I faced it in a tournament, I knew exactly what to do. So anytime you have a problem, no matter what opening you're in, if you have a problem with a certain line or, oh gosh, I'd never seen that, I don't really know what to do, I got in trouble, study it. And now you had that under your tool belt, you have that knowledge for the rest of your life, right? You can make a mistake once, that's okay. Don't make it twice, right? Especially in the opening, if that makes sense, okay? Definitely learn, okay? In fact, towards the end of me getting up to National Master, I lost to an FM in one game, and he castled queenside and played a 3-pawn center, and I did not do well against him. He played an absolutely fantastic attacking game, but I didn't know the theory very well, so I went home, played into Stockfish. Turns out I had to memorize up to move 12, boom, right? And from that point on, I knew what to do, okay? So, yeah, you got to review specific lines that you've had trouble with in the past. That is huge. On top of that, the second part of this is, how do you prepare openings for tournaments? There's different examples of this. I mean, in a smaller venue, like when I was growing up, it was a small local club. I knew all the guys' names. I knew Rob. I knew Mark. I knew the second Mark. I knew, all these guys. And I knew exactly what they played. So I would actually prepare, okay, I'm playing the Sicilian. How do I play against this? I'm playing E4. How do I play against the Carl Khan? How do I play against E5? How do I, right? Because I knew what they were going to play, and I knew I was going to play some of them. But once you get to a bigger tournament, when there's hundreds of people there, it's like you don't know who you're going to play, right? So in that instance, I just really focus on my openings, focus on what I'm worried about seeing, right? And what you're worried about playing against is really what you got to focus on the most, okay? Again, with my Hippo stuff, I was doing well with it, but then I got crushed by a 3-pawn center. So I went, you know what? I got to figure this out. I figured it out. From that point on, I was good. The next part, a lot of people very specifically prep for their opponents, even in bigger tournaments. So they figure out, okay, I'm playing against LeBron James in round 3, right? Okay, LeBron James doesn't play in chess tournaments, but you get the idea. okay, now I got to go online. I got to find their account. I got to find what they play. I never did that. It just felt like, I don't know. I mean, when I saw people doing it, like part of me is wondering like, okay, guys, we're not Magnus Carlsen in the World Championship here. Okay, calm down. We're not freaking, Gary Kasparov here. Okay, going up against Karpov. I mean, just calm down, guys. Right? We're gonna play a game of chess, and the better player is gonna win in that game. Right? The better player who plays best in that game is what I mean by that, is gonna win. Right? We're gonna reach a position. We're gonna play it out. Someone's gonna win. To me, prepping just felt like a waste of time, especially because I don't really trust online accounts, right? Even if I know you play this online, that doesn't mean you're going to play in person, right? I play plenty of stuff online that I would never even touch in an over-the-board tournament game. So I never did it. Some people do, though. I would say sometimes, if I had buddies in the chess tournament, I would go, hey, do you know what he plays? I saw you played him. And then he'd tell me, and I go, okay, good. I'll think about it, right? I'll think about what I can potentially play. That was about the extent of it. I didn't ever run off and look at my computer for 20 minutes trying to figure out what they played and then come in and know what they're doing. And yeah, I just never did. But that's just my take on it. Doesn't have to be yours if you don't want it to be. Next up, are there any openings you dislike or hate? I used to hate D4 going up against it. But once I found the Hippopotamus Defense, I loved playing against E4. So that was a huge, huge plus because my whole career growing up, E4, especially with the Sicilian, I loved playing against it. D4, on the other hand, it was tough, right? So the Hippo kind of saved that. In terms of what I hate playing against, playing against the Carl Khan's annoying, right? That's another example, right? So one of them's D4 as white. I hated playing against Carl Khan. For a while, I hated playing against the French. And the Alekhines Defense, I still don't like playing against the Alekhines Defense. So I play knight C3 on move 2. What do I not like to play? It's kind of weird because I've kind of started playing everything since starting this channel. I've kind of started playing everything. So I've kind of learned to like everything a little bit. But I will say that I would not play D4 personally in an over-the-board tournament. Not because I don't think it's good. It's a great move. So many GMs play it. But it's not for me. And that's okay. Next up, great question here. How do you get better at chess when you reach your limit? A year ago, I was stuck at 900 and didn't know how to improve. I feel like I just magically got better. Now 1300. If it happens again, how do I get better? Fantastic question. I'm going to start out by saying that I don't think that your experience here is isolated. I personally have hit many walls, and I think most players do. I mean, let me know down below the walls you feel like you have hit when improving at chess. And what I mean by that is that when you're playing chess, there's times where your elo's going up like crazy and you're learning a lot and you feel like you're growing as a player, and then all of a sudden you kind of get stuck and you've been stuck there for a week, and then it turns into a month, and then sometimes it turns into a year, and you're just literally stuck there. Sometimes longer than a year, and you're just like, how do I get out of this rut? I cannot improve my game, right? And that's part of it. Okay, so that's the first side. Just an encouragement to you. That's part of it. The question is, how long are you willing to fight in that place? Because so many people, they get stuck, they have progress, they get stuck, they quit, right? The people that really get good at something, right, they keep pushing. And it's not a smooth line. If you look on my US chess profile page, it's trust me, my rating didn't go, just straight up, right? Just perfectly up. No, it was up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down and up and up. And, it was a fight, right? It's a fight. So, in a weird way, playing chess is like the stock market. Okay. Except hopefully your rating is consistently going up over time, over a long period of time. Okay. That's the first part of it. In terms of the more practical side of things, I would say that getting a coach is a good idea. Getting a coach is a good idea. They can kind of help you along and kind of assess your weaknesses. Okay, so that's where I would start. A coach can look at some of your games and go, hey, your end game is really solid. But I've noticed in the opening, you really push your pawns like crazy, and I feel like that's kind of opening things up. It seems like you lose, a good chunk of games because of that. For another player, it might be, look, your openings and middle games are fantastic, but once you hit the end game, let's just say you need to work on the end game, right? So that's a good thing. Looking at someone that's better who can very clearly assess after one take, this is what you need to improve on. Because guess what? They used to be your level, right? Magnus Carlsen used to be worse than you at chess. That's just the fact, right? But because of that, when you ask him, what do I need to improve on, when he looks at your game, he'll go, oh, this, right? This is what you need to work on, that kind of thing. So that's a huge start. And just grinding out tactics and always trying to learn. Okay. Try to learn as much as you can. Don't just play all the time. Don't just play a bunch of blitz. Honestly, you can argue those aren't that great for your chess, especially online. You got to study. You got to learn more endgames. If you don't know bishop and knight, learn that. If you don't know two bishops versus king, learn that. If you don't know certain endgame techniques, learn it, right? If you haven't got to the point yet where you can, memorize a chess game, right? Or memorize a long, opening theory line, do that, right? Keep adding to your tool belt, and eventually the rating will follow. Okay, don't focus too much on your rating. Focus on learning, and your rating will improve because of it. Okay, so there's a couple of thoughts there. Next up, how do you stay committed to chess for so long? Have you ever gotten tired of playing? I have. Okay, I definitely have. I can't tell you how many tournaments I played in where I was just done mentally. I was checked out. I was ready to go home. Didn't want to be there anymore because it's tough, right? You're playing these games that go for hours on end. They keep going, and you lose and you draw and you win, and then you lose and you lose, and then you win and then you lose. It's just tough. It's tough. So there's definitely been times that I've gotten tired of playing. How do you stay committed to chess for so long? I would say just the love of it brought me back, the love of the game. But I'm not going to lie and tell you that breaks aren't necessary. Breaks are necessary. Sometimes you got to take a break, right? Sometimes you got to take a little bit of a hiatus and just take a breather, right? Kind of a micro example of this is if you're online and you're, starting to quote unquote tilt, right? And you're starting to just like play these moves and play moves and just try to, you're almost playing bad on purpose, but you're just trying to get a quick win. When you get to that point, right? When you're at the point where you've lost 8 in a row, just take a break, take a breather, right? Go on a walk, talk to your family, eat something, grab a glass of water, or watch a YouTube video, whatever it is, right? Just take a breather, right? And then come back to it. It kind of reminds me of the student that just tries for hours on end to solve this math problem. They're getting frustrated and they're getting confused and they're getting mad at themselves. Then they go to lunch and they come back and they're like, oh, wait, it's just, oh, I see the answer now, right? And that's because their head is in a more clear space. So make sure to take some rest too, okay? Make sure to take some rest. Next question. When was your last big breakthrough in chess, and what did you realize perfect? Most progress is gradual, I understand, but what was the last one you remember? This username here, Get Mic'd 6216, great player, very strong player with some great thoughts under a lot of my videos. I think for me, to kind of, start out with the biggest breakthrough. I mean, I hit National Master, but I would say before that, I actually started to realize that I was stringing some tournaments together in which I wasn't losing. Now, that doesn't mean that I won them all, but it means that I didn't lose, right? Maybe I got 2 draws, 3 draws, but I didn't lose a game, right? And that's kind of when I went, wait, I think I'm getting a little bit better at this, or getting more sound results, because, back in the day, I don't know if there was ever a tournament. I mean, there were some like Scholastics and stuff, but like bigger tournaments that I never lost a game, it was pretty rare, if ever. I didn't have that many draws at times, and I had a lot of wins, a lot of losses too. But I think once I switched to the Hippo, it was a more sound system. It was a more sound system, and I was more comfortable in it. Okay, so I wasn't facing all these different openings that I hadn't studied that much, or was hoping I wouldn't see, or whatever, and I wasn't just trying to do everything I was supposed to. I actually played something that I liked, and I was prepared for whatever came my way, or just about, I was trying, and I think because of that, the Hippo was so solid that a lot of those losses that I would have had in another opening turned into draws. And sure, maybe some of the wins turned into draws as well, but I think overall, more of the losses converted into draws than the wins did. So, that's something to think about. And I think some of the losses converted into wins as well. Okay, I'm talking about kind of switching an opening, and because of that, seeing different results. Okay, that's kind of what I'm speaking to here, right? A game that I would have lost because I played the Hippo, I drew, or I won, right? But yeah, I mean, I think sound results are good. It's okay to lose, and losing is part of the game. You're gonna lose. There's no way around it. Don't feel like a failure if you lose, because guess what? Literally anyone that ever plays chess, like more than one game, in tournament chess is lost. I mean, it's just going to happen, guys. Okay, so I'm warning you. But over time, over the years, the goal is to get more sound results. I personally would rather get 4 draws and 2 wins in a tournament than 4 wins and 2 losses. The score's the same. They're both 4 out of 6, but I would rather go with more draws and then some wins than win-loss, win-win, well, that kind of thing. So that's something to think about. Next up, how do you deal with over-the-board pressure when under attack? Why do you love playing the Hippo so much? Great questions here by Gabe. How do you deal with over-the-board pressure when under attack? This just comes with experience. I've been playing chess in over-the-board tournaments since I was 8. I'm now 25, so that's, I can't do math. Hold up. 17 years. And over the time, you improve in those kind of situations. The nerves never go away. At least they didn't for me. But you learn to cope with that psychologically, right? You've been in these situations before. You've improved in your ability to focus, and that can help. Okay. On top of that, I think you learn some kind of strategies, right? You learn strategies like time management. You learn skills like time management, should I say, as one of them. Okay. And on top of that, the chess side of things, like the more you play, the more comfortable you get in defensive positions. The Hippo, for example, I actually don't think the Hippo is very defensive in a lot of ways. People say it's timid, and I understand why they say that, because at the beginning of the game, it's pretty slow, but it turns very aggressive very fast. And, it turns pretty aggressive very fast. Sometimes you have very slow kind of, slow squeezing Karpovian type games, and sometimes the Hippo player goes crazy in the middle game. But there's also times where the Hippo player gets attacked out the gate, and in those situations, you're gonna get some defensive positions. What do you do in that situation? You find a way to hold on. You find a way to get some counterattacking chances. Both of those are skills that you can improve in. And why do you love playing the Hippo so much? The reason I got into it, again, it was because I saw that great players were losing to it. So I went, there's something to this. Everyone says it's terrible, but there's something to it. And if I can play an opening that everyone thinks is terrible, right? In fact, in my last tournament, the one where I became an NM, one of the guys I was playing kept laughing every move I played, which I didn't take it as disrespect or anything. I think it was just like, what the heck is this guy doing, right? What the heck is this? But if I can play an opening that no one studies for, but it's really good, that's a huge edge for me, a huge plus in preparation. All their preparation for E4, D4, Knight F3, if I'm black, all their preparation for the Sicilian or the Carl Khan or the Perk or the Scandi, all that goes right out the window, and we're playing a Hippo. I've been playing this for a couple years. It's my 1,000th game, and every single game I learned something about the Hippo. They may have never even heard of it. So that's one point. And on top of that, I think it was great for me to just get out of prep, especially with all these little kids running around memorizing stuff until move 20. The Hippo, you make a move, and guess what? We're playing chess. We're playing middle game chess, where we're having to maneuver our pieces, and it's tactical, but there's so much more strategy involved, right? Whereas some openings, it's just like who can calculate, who knows the tactics, who knows the theory, who knows the traps. The Hippo, you don't really have that. Okay, and the Hippo's flexible. I like flexible kind of openings where I can take my time, improve, process, assess weaknesses, maneuver my pieces, all that good stuff. Okay, and it honestly helped me improve a lot as a chess player. What are some middle game, end game book recommendations? I'm just going to say one name, Lev Albert. Lev Albert for adults, I think he has some great stuff for kids too, but Lev Albert, he has a lot of great books, Comprehensive Chess Course, Just the Facts. He has some middle game stuff as well. That's really good. Some great content. Okay, for intermediate players, maybe going into advanced as well, and beginners too. Just the Facts book. We go over all different kinds of levels of endgames in that book, and I grew up on that, and it helped me a lot as a player. So Lev Albert has some great, no fluff, no promising you all this great, just a very solid coach, very solid teacher, with some great lessons included. Okay, stuff that you can really apply to your games. And the last question for this video: how do I get to 2,000 rated online? I'm stuck between 17 to 1,800. Will only tactics solving get players to 2,000? It's a good question. It helps a lot, but I don't think to get to 2,000 you have to just do tactics. I think to get to 1,000, if you just do tactics and tactics, you'll get there. I think 2,000, you're going to have to learn some more skills. So Tactics is huge, right? And you know, if you're on chess.com, see what your record is right now for Puzzle Rush survival mode. See what your record is on Lee Chess for your rating, all that kind of stuff, and then see if you can improve in those areas, right? If you're improving on your tactic rating, if you're improving on your Puzzle Rush rating, if you're improving in those kind of numbers, that's going to translate eventually, right? So that's a start. But I would also say that, you know, I think one of the things that 2,000 plus rated players are very good at, oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes, especially every tier you go up, 21, 22, 23, etc., is the end game, because that's what games are going to come down to. If you got two 400 rated players going up against each other, that game might end in 10 moves. But if you got 2,000, you know, two 2,000 players going up against each other, two FMs, two NMs, two IMs, two GMs, most of the time it's going to go to the end game. And the person with the more end game knowledge and experience is going to have the upper hand. Chess.com actually has a feature in which case you can play certain end games, which you can provably win or provably draw against Stockfish, which is great because, you know, there's certain openings where it's like, well, I beat a human when I had two bishops and the king versus the king and I won. Well, that's great. That's fantastic. But if you can do it against Stockfish, if you can get these end games against Stockfish and get the win that you're supposed to get and get the draw you're supposed to get, you're going to be golden in the end game. Okay. So, really focus on your end game. Okay. And when studying some of these end games, you might be thinking, I'm really not going to get these. And oftentimes you're not. But when you do get them, you're going to know what to do, and it translates to other areas of the game, okay? Nothing goes to waste. No knowledge of chess, right? I guess you can make up some random stuff that doesn't matter, but most of the time, 99% of the time, chess knowledge does not go to waste. If you learn a kind of a maneuver, you can apply it in other situations. For example, bishop and knight versus king. I've never got it, but I feel like when I learned it, my chess improved in other areas, right? I got better at kind of knight-bishop coordination and how they work in tandem. So those are some things that I would give to you as a thought. Okay. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. By the way, in December, if you guys are interested in my Hippopotamus Defense course or my Ponziani opening course, very underrated opening for white, all you got to do is go to Gumroad. And for this month only, right, we're giving a 30% discount. So once we hit January, we're done, right, with this sale. And again, you get 30% off. So all you got to do is go to Gumroad and plug in Christmas 2023, and you will get 30% off of either order, the Hippo, the Ponziani, or both. Hope you guys enjoy those courses. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comment section below what you thought. And if you want me to continue this kind of series, you guys just asking general questions and me answering them, post one of your questions down below. And if we make another one of these, I will include a good number of y'all's questions. Have a good one. Thanks for watching today's video. If you liked it, make sure to subscribe to this channel. And on top of that, hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of the chess content coming your way. I wanted to give a big shout out to my Patreon supporters of the month of December in 2023. And if you're interested in becoming a patron, we have a link down below, in which case you will see all of the benefits that you gain by becoming a member. I hope to see you join the family. All that said, I'll see you on the next one.